The snow fell thick and heavy over the mountains, blanketing the Crisp family chateau in an eerie silence. Nestled in a remote valley, the sprawling mansion, built at the turn of the 20th century, stood like a relic of forgotten grandeur, its gabled roofs and ivy-covered walls cloaked in frost. Inside, the air was thick with anticipation and unease as a group of college friends gathered for a 10-year reunion, lured by the promise of holiday cheer and a nostalgic twist, a secret Scrooge gift exchange, inspired by their old tradition of dark, A Christmas Carol-themed pranks. But beneath the festive veneer, old wounds festered, and a decade-old tragedy waited to resurface, turning the reunion into a deadly reckoning. Tabby Banks, a 32-year-old photographer who'd carved out a successful career in Los Angeles, arrived at the chateau with her new boyfriend, Johnny Rose. Johnny, a charismatic aspiring actor with sharp cheekbones and a disarming smile, had met Tabby while she shot his headshots just months earlier. Their relationship was fresh, intense, and filled with the kind of whirlwind passion that made Tabby feel alive again after years of guarding her heart. She hadn't returned to this mountain town since college, and the chateau's looming presence stirred memories she'd tried to bury, memories of Glenn, her fiancé, whose death had shattered her world. The reunion was hosted by Chandler Crisp, a brash heiress whose family owned the chateau. Chandler, with her platinum blonde hair and penchant for drama, thrived on attention and manipulation. She'd orchestrated the event with meticulous care, inviting a tight-knit group from their college days. Kelsey Klein, who'd stayed in town to run her family's diner. Tucker Posey, a psychologist with a calm demeanor and a knack for reading people. And Julian Cortez, a former baseball star whose career had peaked in college. One friend, Franny Lane, had declined to attend, citing family obligations. But her absence felt ominous after a cryptic voicemail she'd left Tabby days earlier. "I got this weird gift," Franny had said, her voice shaky. "Memorabilia from Drake, one of Glenn's papers, other weird shit. Call me back, okay?" Glenn's name hung over the group like a specter. 10 years ago, he'd been the golden boy of their circle of baseball prodigy on scholarship, engaged to Tabby, and destined for greatness. But a shoulder injury during a practice session ended his career, plunging him into a spiral of depression and alcoholism. His life unraveled, and one snowy night, right before the campus production of A Christmas Carol, Glenn jumped from the theater roof, leaving behind a suicide note and a group of friends racked with guilt. Their annual Scrooge-themed parties, filled with cruel pranks and biting humor, had made his death feel personal, as if their games had pushed him over the edge. The chateau's interior was a labyrinth of opulence and decay. Heavy velvet curtains draped the windows, and creaky hardwood floors echoed underfoot. Hidden passageways snaked through the walls, a remnant of the mansion's eccentric history. Marty, the estate's house manager, greeted the guests with a stiff smile. His gaunt frame and intense eyes made Tabby uneasy, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she'd seen him before. "Make yourselves at home," he said, his voice clipped. "The wind's picking up. Expect a ground blizzard tonight, black ice on the roads." As the friends settled in, the secret Scrooge gift exchange began in the chateau's dimly lit den. The rules were simple. Each gift was meant to be darkly humorous, tied to the Scrooge theme, and anonymous. But when the first gift was opened, the mood shifted from playful to sinister. Julian unwrapped a baseball, its surface scrawled with a message. "Dear Mr. Scrooge, gift Julian Cortez a baseball, faster than a fox, since he caused Glenn's accident. Feel free to take his legs." Julian's face paled. "This isn't funny," he snapped. "I didn't cause Glenn's injury. We were just roughhousing." Chandler's gift was next to glossy red apple, accompanied by a card. "Dear Mr. Scrooge, send a sleigh with a poisoned apple to Chandler Crisp, our liar. Because even when she tells the truth, herself she seeks to conspire." Chandler laughed it off, but her eyes darted nervously. Tucker received Glenn's old name tag from the campus pub, with a note accusing him of getting Glenn fired. All Glenn wanted was a friend when he needed it most. Instead, Tucker Posey exposed him, firing him from his post. Kelsey's gift was an oxygen mask, its card cutting deep. "Dear Mr. Scrooge, paddling through life with a cane, do you ever find it hard to breathe in the way Glenn always saw Kelsey Klein? Despite being a very good friend indeed." Tabby's gift was the most grotesquely a plastic heart, dripping with fake blood, and a card that branded her a monster. "Dear Mr. Scrooge, with the heart of a Grinch and a soul, Tabby Banks is the true Krampus Christmas monster who will rip your heart out and devour you whole." The room fell silent. "Who the hell did this?" Tabby demanded, her voice trembling. The gifts weren't pranks, they were accusations, each one tied to Glenn's death, and the group's perceived betrayals. Suspicion turned to paranoia. Chandler admitted she'd lied about Glenn hitting on her, a fabrication that sparked a devastating fight with Tabby before his death. "I was trying to make Julian jealous," she confessed, her voice cracking. I didn't know." Tucker defended his role in Glenn's firing, insisting Glenn's drinking left him no choice. Kelsey, usually quiet, bristled at the accusation that she'd failed Glenn, her eyes flashing with something darker. Julian, still reeling from the baseball, stormed out, muttering about leaving. Then came the discovery of a naughty list, with Franny's name crossed to fan a severed head, presumably hers, found in a gift box. Panic erupted. The chateau's front doors were chained shut, and the icy roads made escape impossible. As the group argued, a figure in a tattered Scrooge costume complete with a top hat and cane appeared in the shadows, silent and menacing. One by one, the friends began to disappear. Julian was found in the driveway, his legs shattered, a note pinned to his chest. Scrooge takes what you took from Glenn. Tucker's body was discovered in the kitchen, his hair singed and skull crushed, a fire poker nearby. Chandler's throat was slit, her body slumped in the dining room, a poisoned apple clutched in her hand. Roma, the chef, and other staff vanished, their fates unknown. The chateau, once a place of warmth, became a slaughterhouse. Tabby and Kelsey, the last survivors, barricaded themselves in a guest room, their friendship strained by fear and doubt. "We need to find a way out," Tabby said, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. Kelsey nodded, but her eyes were distant, haunted. They searched for a radio on the 3rd floor, stumbling across a hidden room enshrined to Glenn, filled with Scrooge memorabilia, old photos, and a chilling discovery. Glenn's suicide note, its handwriting unmistakably Kelsey's. Tabby's heart sank as the pieces fell into place. "You wrote this," she whispered, holding the note. "You were in love with Glenn, weren't you?" Kelsey's face twisted with rage and guilt. She confessed to sleeping with Glenn, driven by jealousy of Tabby's life and her relationship with him. When Glenn planned to confess their affair, Kelsey pushed him off the theater roof, forging the suicide note to cover her crime. "He was going to ruin everything," she hissed. "You were going to take him to LA and leave me behind." But Kelsey hadn't acted alone. Johnny, Tabby's charming boyfriend, was no stranger to this town. He was Jonathan Rosenthal, a local who'd been cast as Scrooge in the canceled Christmas Carol performance the night Glenn died. His mother had died giving birth to him, and his father's blame had left him fractured, obsessed with embodying Scrooge's pain. Johnny saw the reunion as his stage, a chance to punish the group for ruining his big break, and to perform as Scrooge, exacting revenge for Glenn's death. Johnny and Kelsey had conspired, their hatred for the group uniting them. Johnny donned the Scrooge costume, killing their friends in ways that mirrored their betrayals. Julian's legs for his role in Glenn's injury, Tucker's head for his betrayal, Chandler's throat for her lies. Franny, who tutored Glenn but refused to help him after his drinking worsened, had been killed before the reunion, her head a grim warning. Johnny had manipulated Tabby into bringing him to the chateau, using her to establish his acting career while plotting the massacre. In the chateau's library, Tabby faced Johnny and Kelsey, a loaded gun in her hand. Johnny, reveling in his role, taunted her. "You helped me become a star," he said, his smile cold. "Taped my auditions, got me an agent. Such a great girlfriend." Kelsey, unhinged, spat venom, accusing Tabby of stealing the life she wanted. "You were always the golden girl," she sneered. "Everyone loved you, and I got nothing." Tabby's fear gave way to fury. She'd spent years blaming herself for Glenn's death, believing his infidelity was her fault. But now, the truth was clear. Kelsey's betrayal and Johnny's madness had orchestrated everything. "I'm not the girl I used to be," Tabby said, her voice steady. "And there's one thing I always hated about you, Johnny, your love for Christmas." She pulled the trigger, and Johnny crumpled, his Scrooge costume stained with blood. Kelsey lunged, but Tabby was faster, knocking her out with the gun's butt. Dragging Kelsey outside, Tabby left her in the snow, the blizzard swallowing her screams. As dawn broke, the chateau stood silent, a tomb for the fallen. Tabby, battered but unbroken, whispered, "God bless us, everyone." A bitter nod to the story that had haunted her life. She walked into the sunrise, no longer a fragile flower, ready to face a future without regrets.